Best known as one of the breakout stars of Ice Road Truckers, Lisa Kelly became that one person audiences couldn't stop talking about, the one we were told to watch closely, yet whose story carried far more weight than many first realized. From the moment she stepped onto the icy stage of the reality TV show, Lisa carved out a space for herself in a world that seemed almost impossible for an outsider to enter. Within only a short period, she transformed into a fan favorite, admired for her grit and authenticity. Yet somewhere along the way, she chose to step back, retreating from the cameras for reasons known only to her. That decision left viewers curious, sparking speculation and a desire to know the truth about the woman behind the wheel. Now, more than ever, people are beginning to see Lisa Kelly for who she really is. In this journey, we'll uncover her story, her life beyond the cameras, her struggles, and what she's been up to in recent years. So, who exactly is Lisa Kelly? Interestingly, she was never part of the original plan when the History Channel launched Ice Road Truckers in June 2007. At the beginning, the spotlight was fixed firmly on a tough group of men tasked with hauling freight across frozen lakes and treacherous highways in Canada's Northwest Territories. This wasn't just a job, it was survival. Drivers worked endless hours in temperatures plunging to -40, with every mile carrying the constant threat of sliding into a ditch they might never climb out of. The early cast looked like they had been born in the cab of a Peterbilt, faces etched with weather, hands hardened by decades of labor, and a quiet demeanor that came from a lifetime on the road. Lisa Kelly didn't seem to fit that picture at all. Her first appearance came in Season 3, airing in 2009 when she was just 28 years old. Born on December 8, 1980 in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Lisa grew up far from the glamour of TV. When she was 6 years old, her family relocated to Sterling, Alaska, and it was there that she spent most of her childhood. Even then, Lisa wasn't someone who liked sitting still. In interviews, she often described her adventurous streak-riding dirt bikes, working odd jobs, and even competing in motocross as a teenager. Before she ever set foot on an ice road, she had already worked a variety of jobs: school bus driver, gas station attendant, and pizza shop worker. By her early 20s, Lisa had earned her commercial driver's license and was running routes for Carlisle Transportation, one of Alaska's biggest trucking companies. When Ice Road Truckers producers reached out to Carlisle in search of drivers, Lisa's name surfaced quickly, not only because she could handle the brutal work, but also because she was different. She stood out as the only woman willing to step into a role dominated by men. At just 5'5", she didn't exactly look intimidating, but what she lacked in size, she made up for in determination. That stubborn streak earned her a spot on the show. When Season 3 premiered on May 31, 2009, viewers were introduced to Lisa as the rookie. Yet, it was immediately clear that she wasn't there to play a novelty role or serve as a token female driver. Lisa's first runs took her down Alaska's infamous Dalton Highway, 414-mile stretch from Fairbanks to Prudhoe Bay's oil fields. Known for steep grades, sharp icy curves, avalanches, and unforgiving isolation, the Dalton is a nightmare for most rookies. But for Lisa, it became her proving ground. Fan reactions were mixed in the beginning. Many admired her courage and perseverance, while others dismissed her as a gimmick, doubting she had what it took to last. Even her fellow drivers were skeptical. In early interviews, veterans like Alex Debogorski admitted they weren't sure if she would stick it out, but agreed that respect would be given if she proved herself. Lisa didn't waste time trying to win anyone over with words. She let her work speak for itself. She loaded her trailer, drove the miles, and kept pushing forward. By the end of that first season, she had proven that she belonged. Sure, she made mistakes, got stuck, and showed her nerves in stressful moments. But she always delivered her loads, kept her composure, and earned a place in the next season. That's when her reputation began to solidify. Season 4, which premiered on June 6, 2010, expanded into Canada's Manitoba and Ontario provinces, exposing her to new ice roads, each with unique dangers. The challenges didn't lessen breakdowns in the middle of nowhere. Blinding whiteouts where you could barely see ahead, and frigid conditions where chaining up tires could mean risking frostbite in minutes. While the show elevated her to fan favorite status, The spotlight also brought something she wasn't ready for: constant attention. Lisa later admitted that the fame made her uncomfortable. She loved the trucking, but the recognition in public, the strangers approaching her, and the unrelenting commentary from viewers online began to weigh heavily on her. By 2013, after season 5, Lisa announced she needed a break. Fans were stunned by her sudden departure. At the time, she offered little detail, simply explaining that she wanted to focus on her personal life. Married since 2008 to Travis Kelly, an Alaskan dirt bike rider, Lisa valued her privacy deeply. Her absence, however, fueled rumors ranging from health problems to conflicts with producers, though none were ever confirmed. Her return in season 7 in 2013 proved that nothing about the job had gotten easier. Back on Canada's ice roads, Lisa worked alongside veterans like Todd Dewey and the late Daryl Ward. Each year wore her down a little more physically, mentally, and emotionally. Ice road trucking isn't just a test of strength. It's a battle against isolation, exhaustion, and danger at every turn. The tragic loss of Daryl Ward in a plane crash in 2016 at just 52 years old hit Lisa hard. She admired his work ethic and spoke openly about how his death was a sobering reminder of life's fragility. By the time Ice Road Truckers aired its final season in 2017, Lisa Kelly had cemented her place as one of the defining figures of the series. She was its most consistent presence and had built one of the strongest fan followings. Yet she was ready to walk away from the cameras. After 11 seasons, the industry itself was changing. Oil prices dropped, reducing demand for ice road freight, while climate change shortened trucking seasons in the far north. Once the show ended, Lisa largely disappeared from public life. She continued driving trucks, running routes for Carlisle and other companies, but she did it away from the cameras, without the pressures of production schedules. Since then, Lisa has maintained a quiet profile. She rarely gives interviews. Her social media presence is minimal, and she has said she prefers life this way. Still, her low-profile exit left fans with questions. Behind the scenes, whispers suggested that Lisa had pushed herself harder than she let on, taking on more strain than anyone realized. Friends described her as stubborn to a fault, unwilling to slow down even when exhausted or injured. Those who knew her best admitted they worried about her health, her mental state, and the risks she kept taking. They warned her repeatedly to step back, to take time away from the roads, but true to her nature, Lisa kept going. By then, Lisa wasn't just a reality TV star. She was a genuine trucker who had proven herself in one of the harshest environments imaginable. But as many seasoned drivers warned her, the toll of this life builds up. The older generation understood that years of icy roads, long hauls, and constant pressure carve into a person in ways no one can avoid. Lisa believed she could handle it all, that she was different, that the warnings were just talk. The cracks began to show. Missed get-togethers with friends, long absences from social media, and a noticeable retreat into privacy hinted at the weight she carried even while she smiled for the cameras. Life on Ice Road Truckers was like a semi-lockdown for Lisa Kelly. Being on television was still a big deal, and the paycheck was helpful, but the grind was becoming impossible to ignore. Every new season meant long months away from home, endless. Nights in cold and uncomfortable rooms, eating whatever you could find, and spending countless hours on dangerous roads where one wrong move could cost your life. Driving those routes purely for the love of trucking was one thing, but doing it while millions of strangers watched every step added an entirely different kind of weight. Lisa was proud of what she did, yet a quiet exhaustion was creeping in, a weariness that even those closest to her began to notice. Her friends could tell she was starting to wonder how long she could really keep living that way. Trucking on the Dalton Highway in Alaska, later across Canada, was never a job anyone could take lightly. The road might be clear one moment, and then just 30 minutes later, a snowstorm would blind you so badly you couldn't even see the hood of your truck. Many drivers told stories of whiteouts so severe that the only way to keep moving was to rely on memory and the faint outline of snowbank spraying. You were still on the road at all. Meanwhile, the show's producers constantly pushed for more dramatic footage. Each season, they wanted riskier routes and tighter schedules. things that seasoned truckers might have avoided if cameras weren't rolling. Old-timers, who had been on the ice roads for decades, started grumbling, saying television was turning an already dangerous job into something even riskier. Lisa tried to stay out of those debates, but it was impossible not to feel the pressure. With a camera crew trailing her every move, she knew that if she ever turned down a load, someone else would take a tan that weighed on her. The stress didn't just come from the roads or the show's demands. There were also constant invasive questions about her personal life. Fans wanted to know everything. Was she married? Did she have kids? What did she do when she wasn't trucking? At first, Lisa shared bits and pieces, but she quickly realized that the more she revealed, the more people felt entitled to pry. Some fans even crossed boundaries, showing up at her house uninvited or following her at truck stops just for a wayway. Picture what began as part of the job soon became something heavier, something that wore her down. Lisa is naturally resilient, but she's also someone who withdraws into her shell when things don't feel right. She doesn't force herself to adapt or manage situations that don't suit her. She simply steps back. That's exactly what she did here. Without hesitation, she began pulling away for her own well-being. By her 6th season, Lisa started saying no. She quietly turned down interviews and public appearances, never making a big announcement, but simply refusing the invitations that kept piling up. Fans noticed she was posting less on social media, taking longer to respond to mail, and staying silent online. The truth was simple. She was burned out. It wasn't just the driving. It was the whole package. The cameras, the constant travel, the relentless weather, and the spotlight that never seemed to dim. One season in Canada nearly broke her resolve. She found herself on a stretch of glare ice where even her years of experience couldn't stop her trailer from sliding on sharp turns. Later, she admitted it was one of the few times she seriously thought about pulling over and calling it quits. But the schedule was tight and producers were counting on her, so she kept going. That decision might have made for great television, but it also left her lying awake at night, haunted long after the season ended. Eventually, the day came when Lisa decided not to return at all. The network never explained why, and Lisa herself kept her reasons mostly private. All she shared was that she needed a break. She wanted to stay home, ride her motorcycle, care for her horses, and live a life free of cameras for a while. The surface, it sounded simple, but the truth was far deeper. Those warnings she had heard in her early years came back to her. Ice road trucking takes a piece of you every season, and when television gets added into the mix, it's even harder. To stay whole, when she stepped away, some fans were supportive, but others were angry, accusing her of letting them down. Rumors swirled about conflicts with producers and disputes over pay, but Lisa never confirmed any of it. She chose silence, focusing instead on living her life. Absence left a gap in the show. For years, she'd been the only full-time female driver, someone who drew in viewers who might not have tuned in otherwise. Without her, the dynamic shifted. The show carried on, but something felt missing. Lisa, meanwhile, was out on her motorcycle, enjoying open roads far from snow and camera crews. What nobody realized at the time was that her story with ice road truckers wasn't over. She would come back eventually, though it would never feel quite the same. These days, Lisa Kelly is still behind the wheel, but on her own terms. There are no blinding studio lights, no cameras dictating her moves, no producers setting her schedule. It's just the open road, the hum of a diesel engine, and miles of Alaska's rough terrain. Now runs her own small trucking business, choosing the loads she wants and rejecting the ones she doesn't. That kind of freedom carries a satisfaction only someone who spent years on someone else's schedule could truly appreciate. Her life is also full of animals, horses, dogs, cats, even chickens. Back when she was filming, she often said how much she missed being home with them. Now, she has the time. Her mornings are quiet, with no rush to make a call time. She can drink her coffee in peace, feed her horses slowly, and then decide whether she feels like taking the truck out. Lisa's never been the kind of person to cling to fame. When the show ended for her, she didn't chase another reality series or fight for the spotlight. Instead, she built something steady, something real, something she could control. Still in Alaska, she continues to take on challenging hauls that test even the toughest drivers. And yes, she's been asked whether she'd return to television. Her answer is always the same: maybe. Not because she wants the fame or the paycheck, but because she respects her fans and still values being authentic with them. If the opportunity ever felt right, something natural and true, she'd consider it. But she isn't chasing that call. Her income now comes from a mix of sources: long-haul trucking, her years on ice road truckers, small branding partnerships, her business, speaking engagements, and appearances at trucking expos. Altogether, her net worth is estimated at around $500,000. That number surprises some, especially those who assume reality stars leave with millions. But Lisa's life was never about chasing a fortune. What she has instead is far more valuable: control. Control over her mornings, her work, her home, and her peace of mind. When you look at her story, it's striking. Here's a woman who once drove the most dangerous roads in the world while millions watched, who risked her life on icy highways for years, and who earned deep respect from fans for her strength and skill. Yet when the spotlight dimmed, she didn't cling to the past. She embraced the present. She created a life that made sense for her: quiet mornings, the nuzzle of her horses, the freedom to say yes or no to the road, and the deep satisfaction of choosing every mile she drives. Lisa Kelly's story reminds us of what truly matters when the cameras turn off. Fame fades, but the person remains. And in her case, that person is still as tough, independent, and real as ever.